to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, adoption of the agenda.
I have one thing. I'd like to add a discussion of Clark's Cove project on there, somewhere on here. I don't care where.
All right, right after public comment.
The first one or the second one?
Second one.
Okay.
Well, why don't you do it up front since you have people here?
Oh, okay. All right, yeah, all right, well,
6.5?
no, let's get it out of the way, public comment.
All right,
Instead of like 2.5 or 1.5?
Yeah, 2.5.
all right. Okay.
Change things up a little bit. All right. Public comment.
Good evening. Jim Loughran from Harpswell Neck. I just am revisiting an issue that we've visited a number of times in the past. And I think, want to inform the board that as bad as this potential situation has seemed to us, and we've expressed that to you, it's kind of getting worse. And part of it is because the traffic is very heavy this year. It's not uncommon now to hear brakes out on Allen Point Road. When you've got as many people walking as we do this year, and quite frankly, I'm not sure where they all came from, but there's lots of them. And you've got cars coming in opposite directions. That road is not wide enough to allow everyone to exist peacefully. And so, actually, I was out talking with Ed. He was walking his dog the other day, and we were at the edge of my driveway, but he almost got hit. People are just sloppy, and we're starting to see tin cans thrown out there. Cars that we've never seen before. You know who's local and who's not, who lives at Clark Cove and who goes by there. Help me out. Shores Road, Clark Shores Road. It just, I hope that the board would take this into consideration. It's very easy to say, oh, gee, we need another place, or we should have more trails, or it should be open to everybody, or it's a beautiful view and doesn't everyone have the right to see it? Well, the reality is there are thousands of beautiful views in this town. I mean, literally thousands of them. One of the most beautiful is right across the street, just looking out across the street, Strawberry Flats. I mean, that's just gorgeous. So to use that as an excuse to move forward overlooks the fact, which I hope you won't overlook any longer, that you're doing significant damage to a group of Harpswell residents, as well as damaging a critical and endangered habitat. This is not going to provide anything good that is in our benefit. You know, your job is, protector of the people. That's what you're supposed to do. This is a program that's run by the state. They're just looking basically for some chumps to pay up front and take care of what they don't want to do themselves. I mean, that's really all it is. They just want someone else to take the burden. And because they haven't done anything for 70 years and let it become the beautiful, untouched place that it is. So we're finding cigarette butts along the road. There's going to have to be signs up there. I can see it now, new speed limit signs and new signs, entrance here and a big, and you're literally taking down paradise to put up a parking lot. I mean, literally. That should frighten us to think about that. So the state refuses to do a survey of the property. yet they want to contract with you, not with me, with you, with the town. But they won't survey the property. How can you have a legal agreement to do anything on a piece of property if you don't know what the dimensions are, what the plat is? It's just ridiculous. They also refuse to assess the wetland area. They're just not being cooperative. The agreement they gave you was legally a joke, and Ronnie can speak to the specifics on that, but it gives the town no recourse in any way, shape, or form, and it gives the state no responsibility in any way, shape, or form. It's something no one would ever sign. I don't know why they gave it to you, quite frankly. It's kind of an amazing thing to look at. So I think the state has not been operating in good faith. I've had 2 state officials now, Deano Circo, who was one of the original contact people, let's say, and Owen Bees, who is the real estate manager for Parks and Lands. I've spoken with both these gentlemen personally. My conversation with Dino was a year ago, maybe. My conversation with Owen was 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. And they both made it very clear that the desires of Harpswell residents are not in the mix at all. They don't care what Harpswell residents want. And they're willing to say that. It's not about Harpswell. We don't really care if you guys are voting for it or if you're supportive of it. This is about a state project. We have the right to do this. We have the right to do this. And, but they're not doing anything. They're trying to get you to do it. And it really is something where if this goes on and continues, you're basically kowtowing to the state and not defending the residents. What about the reduction in property values? What about the possibility of accidents and injury? The plan that's been put forth shows a trail going along the top of the cliff at water's edge. That cliffside is eroding at a very rapid rate. I mean, how many more people, hikers, a la the cliff trail, are going to fall over the edge when it collapses? How many times are you going to rebuild it? How much money is the town going to take from the taxpayers for something that doesn't really do with the taxpayers any good at all? There are plenty of places to go in this town if you want to get to a trail or hike or water or whatever it is. There are dozens of them. And the more we keep inviting and letting the state invite other people to come down and take advantage of our free amenities, the more crowded we're getting, the more congested we're getting, the more signs we're going to have to put up. We're going to have to, you know, it's going down a rabbit hole. And so I would certainly hope and encourage you to reconsider it this evening and just put an end to it. We've got lots of wonderful places to hike and sit by the water. This just has so much wrong with it. You know, you don't do these things right in the middle of an established neighborhood. My God, you know, it just doesn't work. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? As long as we're here.
Good evening. My name is Edward Morvick. I live on Moore Shore Road in Harpswell. As Jim mentioned, we have lots and lots of trails, access to beaches and everything else. And I've just brought this to kind of show, I'm sure you're well aware of this. You've all lived here a long time and everything else. It's been in the newspapers and everything else. And there's no lack of places for people to be, to enjoy the wonderful, beautiful place that we live in. Unfortunately, what I don't understand is this was an action initiated not by the state, but by Harpswell itself to basically enter into this management plan of this property was not something that the state had anything interest in doing for the last 70 years, as Jim mentioned, and we've talked about in previous meetings here. Last year, we submitted a petition of 151 people to the board to consider that was taken up from all over Harpswell, not just but from Cuddy Harbor, from Bailey's Island, from Orr's Island, not just for the residents around here. And the board at that time chose to basically ignore that, and without any explanation. They basically were going to move forward and give direction to enter into an agreement with the state to get a proposal put together. So it befuddles me as far as why we're proceeding forward with this thing, when it's going to basically ruin one of the last, well, not the last, but one of the most beautiful areas that we have. And it's a bird sanctuary. It's been maintained by the residents in the area over the years. Once a year, we would basically at our own expense, so it doesn't, the forest doesn't go into the field any further, to maintain it, and we plow it once a year at the association of our Moore Shore Road. So as Jim said, and the rest of the people here would consider, that the board reconsider their decision to go forward with this and basically put an end to it. Thank you very much.
All right, anybody else? Public speaking.
So Jim sort of took a lot of what I was going to say, took my thunder, so to speak. If we look at all the we look at all the traffic today, I wait at the end of the mountain road for 20 cars to go by before I can
David,
pull out.
Maybe you ought to go up there.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
I will. Only being, you're in a butter. You let everybody know you are, so. Well.
I just want everybody to know, I don't live there.
No.
I mean, I grew up there. I know the neighborhood very well. But what Jim said about the traffic is, we have a lot of nice seafood places here. We've got the Dolphin, we've got Cook's, Morse's, we've got Pammy's Ice Cream, a lot of great places for people to come to. But we have a lot of free, open outdoor amenities. We have the Cliff Trail, we have Mitchell Field, we have the Devil's Back, and we have all of the land trust land that's open to public. What happens is the Allen Point Road, I've noticed a lot of people walking there. They walk their dogs, they walk their kids, they walk in groups. It's a narrow neighborhood, narrow road. What this would be, what's proposed, and we don't need to funnel traffic in there. So what's proposed is a state park, which should be operated, maintained, and paid for by Harpswell taxpayers. So to benefit the people of Maine, and it would be advertised. And we've seen from the giant stairs what happens when you advertise a place like that. And we've tried to stop the advertising. So, as Jim mentioned, the folks from the Bureau of Parks and Lands, they don't care about Harpswell. They are interested in serving the people of Harpswell, which means we'd be a state park, paid for by us and maintained by us. In 1972, the land was acquired by the state using federal conservation money. And it's been conservation land ever since, lightly tread upon. Laddie Whidden always said that land should never be developed. It should be left the way it is. And the proposal was to have water access, to increase the water access in town. What kind of water access? You can't launch a boat. It's a rocky shore. You can't swim there. I mean, it's not a water access. The Island Trails lists it, and you go there by boat or by kayak. They don't expect to see a crowd of people on the beach. They expect to see a somewhat wild place. And migrating seabirds use it, unmolested, as a place to rest. The field has several species of ground nesting birds. So I understand that it was conceived with the greatest of public interest in mind, but it's the worst thing you can do to this neighborhood. Direct traffic in there. It's been a folly. It's a disservice to the people of Harpswell, both in cost and increase in traffic. And personally, I don't feel bound by the decision of a previous board. If it isn't in the form of a policy or an ordinance, I don't feel bound by it.
I'm written 2.5.
Yeah.
We are.
But it just,
I don't like, I kind of am on the same side as David and Jim on this one. I don't like the fact that the state isn't willing to do much of anything in terms of even delineating property lines.
we actually have a survey. Code office has it.
No, as of recently? Because I thought that they weren't gonna do a survey.
We don't have a standard boundary survey,
It's got a GPS survey.
but we do have the deed, we have the ability to plot that, but we do not have a standard boundary survey.
Right, and,
I think how we left it, Matt, is we're gonna leave it up to the voters
yeah,
instead of the select board.
I have less of an issue with that.
Yeah.
Leaving it up to the voters. I
Yeah.
mean, can we, it's too late to get it on November's election though, isn't it?
No, we can get it in March.
The thing is that we can make a decision whether it's a folly and whether we should present it to the voters. And I don't think this is something that, we usually think things out quite well before we present to them. This has not been thought out,
Oh, my God.
obviously.
We've had meeting after meeting.
Well, but look, when you look at the issue of bringing traffic onto the Allen Point Road, and I saw a guy there the other day reading the sign. The state's put a sign up that says this is state property. I saw a guy reading the sign. He was smoking a cigarette. This was in the middle of one of the worst dry times we've had. He threw the cigarette on the ground. I think he stomped it out. I'm not sure. But this is the kind of thing that we're bringing into this neighborhood. And I think we have the ability and the right and the responsibility to not present this to the voters. I mean, it could be turned down by the voters, but I think we have enough information to know that this is not a good idea. This is the worst thing we can do to this community, and it doesn't benefit the town of Harpswell at all.
I'm not a fan of it either. We already have some of the largest set-aside public land out of any town or municipality in the state. It's around 17% of our land is already public access. We don't need to create more as I've seen it myself this year in town. There's way more people this year than there ever has been. And the more stuff, like, how does this, I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around how residents would benefit from this.
But we're only talking, what they were talking about is 6 parking spaces, and it's almost a mile to get down there. It's not.
I've been there, I've walked the whole property, I've
Yep.
seen the whole thing, I've walked down on the beach, I've done my due diligence and checked it out. I saw their petition they had before I was here.
Wait till he's done.
Am torn on whether to. I don't like how slow this happens sometimes, but I do feel as though this should be a decision made by the voters and not by the three of us.
I try to do that anything comes up like this, I could let the voters decide.
That being said, though, I don't want to see this dragged out. At the very latest, it should be on next March's town meeting
I agree with that.
ballot, and if we can do something, maybe hold another meeting or a workshop or whatever we need to do to get it on. But
Frankly, I think this has gone on long enough. I think we have the right and the responsibility to present real proposals, real good proposals to the voters, and not have them wallow through it. I think we have enough information to stop this right where it is, and I move that we don't proceed any further with this.
It's not an agenda item. It just.
right, that's the only issue
It
I
is
have
an
there
agenda
is
item.
where people that may have differing opinions haven't been made aware of this.
I think that's a great process point, because this was added to the agenda by a member of the board who does have abutting property rights, and there's no opportunity for the general public to have been made aware of
I
this
Well-
agree. I
discussion
would be
tonight.
more apt to move it
So-
to maybe another board meeting if that was the way the board really wanted to go. But I think we can do the due diligence of getting the information to the voters that they can make a perfect, and you have town meeting where everybody can get up and say the same stuff that was said here, and people can make an informed decision at town meeting.
That's all I wanted to do, just
Yeah.
let the voters decide.
Can I address that?
Yep.
We've had, how many, Chrissy? 8 meetings maybe where this has been on the agenda over the last year and a half?
That seems like a lot, but
At
I'd
least
have to, I
six.
know
At least
it
six.
started at the Town Lands Committee, and it came as a recommendation to the board.
Yeah,
So-
I know the history
Yeah,
very well,
okay.
but we've
So
had at
the
least a
actual
half a
board
dozen meetings about
I
this.
don't have the number of.
All right, well, whatever, 5, 7, who cares? The point is, there has been plenty of opportunity for people who support this to come and show their support. And they have not, because they don't really care. Now, you put it in an environment where it's part of the town meeting, what happens? Everything gets voted for, everything. 99% of the things in
That's
the
not
town
true. The
meeting.
NEFSA funding didn't get voted for,
That's
so.
the one thing. That's right. But everything else gets voted for. People who live in other parts of town may very well not be aware of the uniqueness of the neighborhood. They may not be aware how much damage it's going to do. Your question was critical. How is this going to benefit the residents of Harpswell? It's going to cost money. It could cost a lot of money, depending on how bad erosion and rebuilding of the trails becomes. It's not something you're going to do 1 year. Ask anyone who administers trail systems. It is a lot of money every year to maintain and keep those trail systems in good shape. And otherwise, you're going to have people falling off the trail as we have seen in other trails here. So it's going to be an increasing amount of money. Now, what happens when someone gets hurt on the trail and sues the city? Are you going to say, oh, no, it's the state's property? Then you're going to get into a contest with them over who's legally liable? I mean, there's just, and again, so someone who lives somewhere in town who's not aware of this situation may say, oh, yeah, that's wonderful, more water access, because that's the knee-jerk thing these days. It's not water access for fishermen. It's not water access that you can easily access. It's a trail. Just call it a trail. But the point is that putting that trail and that parking lot and those signs is going to seriously degrade critical habitat. So it's not going to help our wildlife at all. And it's also going to degrade the quality of life in that neighborhood. And it's going to cost the town money. And it's not going to provide anything to anyone in this town that they don't already have. It's just ridiculous. And as a select board, part of your job is not to just dump everything on the people. That's a cop-out. Oh, well, we can't make a decision. We'll let people. No, how about deciding whether it's worth pursuing in the first place? If someone came in here and said, I want to build a space station across the street, and gee, it'll create so many jobs, are you really going to consider that? Or are you going to say, as a board, we're going to pass on the space station? Go talk to Phippsburg. You know, I mean, this is part of your responsibility, is to winnow the issues down to the ones that really affect town, affect our economy, affect our quality of life, and fulfill your obligation to protect the citizens of Harpswell. It's not to just flail around. I agree completely with David on this. This board has never voted on it. I think it's time for this board to vote on either moving this thing forward or killing it. Thank you.
I have no problem voting on it, but I'm not going to do it tonight without it being in an agenda.
No,
We can check the minutes, but I believe the board directed the staff to work on this issue, and one of the items
That was before
remaining,
my
it
time.
was 2-1. yeah.
that was before you were on the board.
Yeah.
There's a previous board.
And one of the items that we still have not yet had is a neighborhood meeting, which we committed to doing, so.
The neighborhood's been here. We're here right now. We're here all the time. You've been saying
Hey,
that for months.
if you're gonna, go to the mic if you're gonna keep talking.
I'm going to the mic.
Okay.
Let me just, no, I just want to address this. You see, that's the thing, you talk about things and nothing ever happens. You've talked about neighborhood abutter meetings for months. Well, here are the abutters, okay? Let's talk. We say we don't want the project at all. It's negative in our neighborhood. It's detrimental to our quality of life. We are the abutters, right here. There may be one or two more, but not many. So stop using that as, oh, we've got to plan a meeting with the abutters. No, you don't. The abutters have expressed their opinion.
Well, the board doesn't want us to hold that meeting, the staff will not hold that meeting, if that's something that you don't think is
Mr.
an
Chairman,
important piece of the
Yes, Terry.
I'd like to
review
reiterate
process.
the failure in the process for tonight. I'm not sure why Selectman Shipman thought it was a good idea to add this. You have town lands not advised, you have other staff members.
We do.
I would ask the 4 people, the abutters in the audience, would you appreciate that the other way? Would you like them to make a decision the other way without informing everybody? I think it's very inappropriate.
I would like them to make a decision. This is,
Can you go to the mic?
The thing is, we know what we know how town lands feels.
I'm not-
We've had their presentation, we've heard from the state, we know all that stuff.
that's a personal relationship that the town's lands chairman has with one of the state people that brought this here in the first place. It's someone's personal little bugaboo. There was no demand, there was no, and in fact, at the time, she said, oh, well, I was contacted by recreational groups who said it would make a wonderful landing for kayaks. And she later admitted that she lied about that no one had ever contacted her. That's the birth of this.
All right.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
Jim, I gotta stop you. You repeat yourself over and over. I think Ronnie wants to speak.
Okay, fine. I will stop, but the reason we repeat ourselves over and over is because it seems like you never listen
I do listen.
to what we say, and you just poo-poo it all and say, oh, well, let's just keep on moving it down the road.
Thank you. Ronnie Weston, Green Meadows Road, I guess technically one of the abutters. I think for me, it's always a question of process. So the process was to have staff look into it more. Part of it was an abutters meeting, but part of it was surveys from the state, wildlife determinations from the state. Those reports I don't believe are in. And so I would just ask you, and I guess Kevin particularly, why is this so important to the select board? Why is this something that you can't pass on as the protectors of the citizens of Harpswell to say, no, it doesn't need to go to the voters because we have not had a groundswell of opinion in favor of this. All we've heard, basically, are the ones that are opposed to it. Why is it so important to you that you throw this up at town meeting?
Oh, I can answer that even.
Well,
Okay.
she
Both-
focused
both
it on
of you.
me.
You can go ahead and then I'll finish up.
I see it as an opportunity. I get it. You know, if it was in my backyard, let's face it, it's a my backyard issue for you folks. I get it. If I was in
not.
butter, I
It's not,
may or may not have a problem.
Okay.
We actually looked at housing on my road. I'm the president of my association.
Mm-hmm.
I showed people where to look, where we had 70 acres of land, you know? I was willing to go forth and move into that, even though, you know, it abuts my property.
I don't think it's a NIMBY situation,
Of course
Kevin.
it is.
I don't, and I'll tell you why. Because what is the opportunity? The opportunity is for more recreation in the town of Harpswell. That is a legitimate, I think, decision and consistent with the comprehensive plan. Is this the right place for that opportunity? I don't think you as a select board and staff have really evaluated it. It started with lands. It came as a wild hair idea. It has been never really vetted by this select board. Forget the people who are opposed to it. Where are the people saying this would be the greatest thing since sliced bread because we can't get to the water at Mitchell Field or Tondro Point or anywhere? We need this. You have not heard that one time. So forget the ones that are opposed to it. Tell me, in your role as select people, what is it that you're hearing that you think is opportunity? And doesn't come, by the way, with a cost to the taxpayers, because nobody's paying for this but the town of Harpswell. You have no grants in line. By the way, the federal government is not standing in line to give you money to develop land in Harpswell. They're cutting money every single place. So it's going to cost you as representatives of us, going to cost you money to build and then maintain. Stewardship regardless. You ask the land trust, it costs them money to maintain. Matt?
I agree with almost everything you just said there. But, that being said, this is the first time that this has come up on the agenda since I've been a selectman. So this is, and it was literally added half an hour ago.
1,000%, I'm going to give you that right now. Procedurally, it makes no sense for you to vote on it tonight.
And I have heard from you folks, as a lot of you, individually, and your concerns and stuff, but I haven't heard what you were just saying. You know, and to do the process correctly and do the due diligence, it clearly got this far because somebody wants it for some reason. And I would not be doing due service to the community if I at least did not hear the other side of the argument. So I would move that we at least table this into the next board meeting and make town lands and whoever else on the staff that we need to make aware, you know, and I wouldn't mind having a discussion at that point because I have not myself had that opportunity. And before I would even feel comfortable making a decision, I would need to hear both sides.
That's fair, I think. Fair, smart, and that's it. Yeah, I think that's the right decision. And David, you know, it would have been great, but I think process-wise, it doesn't work tonight.
Well, we know how Town Lands feels. They've made their presentation. The state has gotten back to us with what they want to see from us. But the process, all right, I'll agree with that, and I'll second Matt's motion.
Okay.
Well, it's not a motion, it's not an
Yes.
agenda, it's just a discussion.
This is agenda, it's
Yeah.
it's 2.5.
Are you going to recuse yourself as a member of the select board on this issue? Because I think you did at one point, and then tonight you went and spoke at the podium, but then you've been speaking from this table, and I think it creates a
The thing is-
situation where people are not clear about your hat and your role when
I
you're
don't,
speaking.
I don't,
The process
I
piece.
own property that doesn't abut this. It's in the neighborhood, and I don't think it crosses the line for recusing myself.
Your board
I
members
would
need to.
disagree only because I recused myself on the Field Road issue, and I don't even own that property. I have no legal rights to it, I have no financial ties to it, it's a family member that owns it, but I recused myself just because of the perceived conflict of interest that created. And and I think that's kind of the same here, there's a perceived.
I'll leave this up to you two.
I would recommend that you looked at your conflict of interest policies, you consult your attorney. Perceived conflict of interest is very, very different than conflict of interest. And so if you asked David to stand up here, I would have objected to that. He was speaking as a select person at that moment. But you should look at your conflict of interest policies. You should determine if he in fact has one, then he has to recuse himself. If he doesn't and it's only perceived, then he discloses it, which is the general rule of legal thumb. You disclose it to say, my family owns property there, and take it as you will. So that's,
For tonight, I will leave it to you two guys.
We even need to act on anything? I don't think we need to.
I think you can just direct the staff to put it on your agenda in
Yeah.
2 weeks. We will reach out to the Town Lands Committee, other staff members. The general public will see it on the agenda, and you
Yeah.
can discuss it that night.
Right. And
I
at this-
feel it works for me, does that work for you?
Yep, no, that's fine.
Yep.
Yep. At this point, I'm closing public comment and moving on to select board announcements.
I have two things. And they involve ordinances. We have a fairly restrictive sign ordinance that doesn't allow business signs to be just stuck everywhere, which you see them showing up on road corners, and the triangle at Cundy's Harbor is ridiculous. You can't read any of those signs. That's just litter. There's a fine that goes along with business signs that are placed without a permit. So just mind what you're doing. The other thing is, we have a firearms ordinance, and it allows rimfire and shotgun only within the bounds of Harpswell. And there's a reason for that. recently, a house in my neighborhood had a bullet go through the wall and out through the window. We don't know exactly where it came from, but it was a rifle bullet. It was not rimfire. It was a pretty substantial, I don't know, deer hunting rifle or something, and it went right through the wall, right through the room, and out through the window on the opposite side. So, no rifles, no 9mm, no ARs in Harpswell. They're not allowed, and it's against our ordinance, and so it's not allowed for a reason. They're not safe. The two houses are too close together. That's me.
There are a lot of signs, and most of them are out of town, so I don't know,
Yep.
I don't even know what we do about it.
I don't know either. I mean,
You can't find a telephone pole without a sign on it.
that's
Like you
double.
said, pulling out of the harbor road is, you just gotta close your eyes and hope and pray.
Yeah.
Attaching
can't
things to a
see.
utility pole is not allowed anyway. That utility poles are
Right, they're
private
owned.
property. They're
Right.
private property,
We have no control over that.
yeah. Anyway, that's,
I have none.
Yep. Can't disagree. Town administrator's report?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everyone. I wanted to give an update on the proposal the town received to our wage and salary consulting project. We received one response. It was from a company out of Falmouth, Maine, KMA. It's beyond the budget that we have.
yeah,
So we had budgeted 20,000. It's ranging from 29,000 to almost 38,000. I have a interview set up for Monday, and I didn't know if there would be one member of the board who might like to participate in that interview, because I think one of the questions that I need to ask is, what kind of modifications can we get so that we can provide the deliverable of really looking at other communities, what they're paying, what their benefit packages are, and we might have to give up a little bit on revising every job description. We may need to do that more internally as opposed to asking the consultant to spend a lot of time on that.
What time's the interview?
The interview's at like 9 o'clock on Monday?
In the morning?
Yeah,
I can do it.
I was gonna sign up, but not at 9 a.m.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, man,
so,
I'm up by then.
Yeah, oh, I'm up. I'm halfway through my day, but
yeah, I'm also checking references out, and so, yeah, I wanted to let you know that the way it's been presented to us is just well beyond the budget that we have, and I want to look at a way to modify it to hopefully get the information we need so that some of this information can be part of the 2026 budget. That's what we're shooting for.
I know that we need to have better information, but can we justify spending this kind of money to find out? On page 4 here, they talk about the recent work for Casco, Raymond, Dover, Foxcroft. I mean, they have information. They don't need to be,
Yeah.
I think it's not always in our labor market. Maybe Casco being in southern Maine.
Raymond would be.
I guess
too,
what I'm
because
saying-
they're
Raymond
really
too,
covered.
yeah,
I guess
that's
what I'm
true.
saying is
And they're
Yeah.
on Sebago Lake,
Yeah,
so they got
yeah.
a fair amount of real
So,
estate
yeah,
value there.
Yeah,
Well, I can try to talk them into some kind of a
Yeah.
hybrid.
Right, I think so too.
yeah.
I
yeah,
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So
I think, though, I agree with what you were saying, Christie, that the second part of that, figuring out the compensation and benefits seems to be the important part that we want to accomplish, and
Yeah, it's mostly compensation.
Yeah.
The benefits are,
But it's almost like someone from this staff could make a few phone calls and get those answers, but not as comprehensively as this, obviously.
we did the same thing 12 years ago.
Yeah,
And,
is that when the last one was done, was 12 years
Yeah.
ago?
yeah.
yeah, we need to bring it up to,
Yeah,
Up to
for sure,
date, but,
especially with the way the world's changed in the last 12
but to
years,
spend
pandemic
20
and everything else.
We
$20,000,
actually did a big-
$30,000 to get it done.
We
I mean,
did a big adjustment 3-4 years ago. Just,
I think we're gonna have to again,
Yes.
though, just with the,
And sometimes you have to phase it in depending
Yeah.
upon what some of
but
the.
I agree with what David said, this does seem like a significant high cost, especially for the number of employees, so if we can get that
Yeah.
down, anything we can do would be good.
So I will
'cause
report
I think it
back.
was 12,000 the last time we did it.
And it's
I think that's what we paid.
Yeah, I think, do you recall?
tripled.
Yeah.
So that is my
I'm in the
report.
wrong line of
Oh,
work.
okay.
Thank you.
All right. Consent agenda.
I move the consent agenda, which is approval of minutes and authorization of the warrants, pretty simple.
I second it.
Absolutely no discussion.
They all
in favor? Yeah. Huh, go figure. All right, Recycling Center Improvement Working Group Mission.
So you had a workshop with the town's engineering firm, Goral Palmer. There was a presentation showing some of the figures for the proposed building project next door and how they've escalated over time. And we're beginning to think that there may be some alternatives to what we initially thought we might do. And we might want to consider, other uses that building might be built for. So we discussed, the possibility of the board coming up with a working group, and it might have representation from the recycling committee, budget committee, general public, a member of the select board. And then there would be staff members who would participate and provide information, but the staff members would not be voting members of the committee or the working group.
Well, the recycling committee is one of my committees, and I wouldn't mind doing this unless you guys want to fight me for it. I don't
No,
I won't,
I'm maxed
I won't
out.
fight you real hard.
Yeah, I guess it'd be okay. I do have a background in building.
That's
40
true,
years.
that's true, yeah.
You guys can fight it out. I won't even get in the fray.
You don't have enough on your plate already?
No, not really. Matt took most of my committees.
I did.
Thanks.
Ain't no problem.
You do have a background in building, but this kind of building with steel and
I just worked on my neighbors.
working with contractors and,
Yeah, I just finished one in my neighborhood,
yep.
yeah. Which I actually want to get Chuck over to see. It's pretty much 40 by 100. And the numbers were far less than what I'm looking at.
Those are impressive numbers.
So I guess I agree with the makeup of the group, what you've suggested here. Maybe you and I can discuss
Yeah,
whether we,
we can arm wrestle later.
yeah, yeah. But one of the select board anyway.
Okay, and I think it's presented as that member of the board who's part of the working group would have a vote. Because, we need to get kind of a core group here. I don't know how many members of the general public might be interested, but we've already heard of some interest since this has been posted. So I think that's
Have we started,
encouraging.
I'm assuming we have to move and accept this
Yeah.
mission statement, and then after we did that, we would start accepting applications for the
Yes,
committee?
right.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, it's not so much a mission statement as the makeup of the working group,
But it
yeah.
is a
Yeah.
mission statement too, because
Yeah.
it talks about what the group is expected to do. There's a timeline for a preliminary
Yeah.
conceptual plan, again, so that we can budget and plan, because I think we're looking at a project that might happen in 2027.
Yeah. So did you want to make that motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion that we accept this mission statement and the group makeup.
To be determined.
The select
to be
board member to be
determined.
decided.
You guys can put your applications in, whoever bribes
All
you the
right,
most,
okay.
I'll
All right.
I'll approve you for the committee.
All right, I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
November 4th municipal warrant articles. Get ahead of myself.
So this is our deadline tonight, or the board's deadline, to make a final decision about what referendum articles you want to send to the voters on November 4th. We understand that the comp plan task force has moved forward the current version, or is,
Yeah,
on
we're
board with
done.
that. And
What's the deadline? I mean, they're up against it, aren't they?
it's, I think it's basically done. There's no.
Yeah, it's all
changes.
done.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as getting it on the
Oh.
ballot and.
Oh, this
the
has to
correct
be
words.
given to the clerk tonight.
Yeah,
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 and then,
we're there. This is the deadline.
deadline's in half an hour.
yeah.
All right.
So we have the comp plan article, we have an article that will allow the town to accept gifts and to apply for grants for Trufant Somerton Field, for improvements to the property, including the construction of a playground. And we know there's a group of people who are interested in raising money for a playground there. And if this article is approved by the town would be able to accept the money that would be donated to the town for this purpose. And then the next article would allow the town to enter into a multi-year contract with Weber Enterprises, which has communications tower at 26 Cary Drive. And then we would ask the voters to appropriate some money from unassigned fund balance that we would then combine with the emergency services equipment reserve to purchase the equipment and install it that we need for that communication site, which is in the Cundies Harbor area. And then the last article would be authorizing the select board to accept an easement from the property owner at 71 Bethel Point Road to install, maintain, and operate a dry hydrant off Bethel Point on terms and conditions that the board deems to be in the best interest of the town. We have money set aside in a dry hydrant reserve, which we could use to install this dry hydrant if the town votes to accept the easement, or gives you the ability to accept the easement. So those are the 4 articles. The only change we would add, there was a note under 1 we want to add, so we want to say that the proposed comprehensive plan is available for review and inspection at the town clerk's office, the planning office, and online at harpswell.maine.gov.
Okay, I was going to ask that, because
Yeah.
we need the final wording, so that's.
Yeah, so that
okay.
will be added, that note,
Yep.
Christie, do we have any estimate of cost
for,
for the dry hydrant?
I don't know. How much do you have in that account?
$15,120, which is what they used to cost.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
thought-
when was
I
the
thought-
last time we put one in?
I thought we got a rough estimate of 12, and we said we should be okay, but
Did Ben get that? Okay, so we'll,
something close, I
Yeah.
think.
okay, I wasn't sure if you wanted to
They
add.
just redid Wilson's Pond a couple of years ago. You remember what
Okay.
that cost?
I do not off the top of my head, though.
I would say if it's a little bit more, like a couple thousand, you could use contingency if you need to.
I'm not looking.
I'm assuming that the weather would allow for this installation after the vote in November, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you need a motion for each individual
I
article?
think what would be
Total.
helpful is if you approve these 4 items going on the November ballot, and then if you let us know if you are recommending them, because we usually print,
Yep.
you know, if
Yep.
the board recommends them. So I think it can be done as a, kind of, what do we want to call it, omnibus
Yep.
kind of thing?
Yeah.
A mass move,
Yeah,
motion.
yeah.
You want to make that motion?
You do
Okay.
better at it. I like seconding.
Always been that
I
way.
move we include these 4 articles on the November ballot, and I will add my name as approval.
I will second David's motion and also add my name as approval.
I will also add my name to the
Okay.
approval list, and
I assume that means we all voted in favor then.
exactly, all in favor? There we go.
Great, thank you.
Just a
Done.
formality.
All right, proclamation of Constitution Week, September 17th to the 23rd. We just did this.
I know, it's every year.
Oh,
I would like to read this.
seems like it was yesterday.
I would like to read this because it's very important,
Yeah, I know.
particularly today.
He reads it every year.
I know, it's always important.
You should get, remember that show it was when I was a kid, there, Schoolhouse Rocks?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
There is a bill.
Yeah, sitting on Capitol Hill.
Well, it says, whereas the Constitution of the United States of America, the guardian of our liberties, embodies the principles of limited government and a republic dedicated to rule by law, and whereas September 17th, 2025 marks the 238th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention, and whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary, and to the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate the occasion, and whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America designating September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week. And so by virtue of the authority vested as us selectmen, as the town of Harpswell and the state of Maine, do hereby proclaim September 17th to the 23rd to be Constitution Week, and to ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals of framers of the Constitution held in 1787 by vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through this guardian of our liberties, remembering that lost rights may never be regained. And I so move.
I so second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, David. 2025 audit engagement letter.
speak to that too.
So this is earlier than normal. There's some new auditing procedures, which once again is eliminating some auditing firms. And so our current auditors, RHR Smith and Company, has quite a long list of clients, and so they need scheduling sooner and the engagement letter sooner in order to secure our audit. We are very quick. Our year end is December 31st. Our audit is the third week in January. We have our financial statements done, and we go through our audit. You'll notice, if you recall past engagement letters, that there is some change to the language due to the new SQM auditing procedure changes. SQM S1 and 2 changes.
There we go.
I don't know what's wrong with that. Oh, here, we'll share this one. Thank you, Mary Ann. You will also notice, when it comes to my treasurer's report, that we have exceeded our cost in the audit line this year. Actually, I do budget totals, category totals, but this particular line has exceeded because also as part of that change and confirmation of juggling so many clients is we have to pay half of it at the time of the engagement letter. And so I can change that budget, how we budget for that in next year's, but this year it will show us over. But the bottom line should be okay in that category. We've had a good relationship with RHR. As the select board knows, we do prepare our own financial statements, every bit of it. You'll see a new cost in there for financial statement assistance, and that again is due to the changes with the SQMS 1 and 2. They now have to charge for certain things that they are required to do a deeper dive into those that they do not prepare themselves, which always appreciate eyes reviewing, so that's a good thing. I've really just kind of highlighted the changes, but ask that you do approve this, so we will be ready to go.
So I have one question. Under the fixed assets assistance, it's $950 for the first 5 hours and $150 each additional hour. So how many hours do you think?
Less than 5.
Okay. Yeah, I move we approve the, engage with RHR Smith and authorize Christie to sign it.
I will second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Engineering work order amendment for Peabody Road, Capital Road Project.
So things are moving along with the Peabody Capital Road project, thankfully. We were notified by our engineering firm that the budget was tight, that the town originally signed for engineering services, and partly that was due to some additional meetings that the town had or organized and expected the engineers to attend. And there were some redesigns to some grading and drainage patterns. So the engineering firm is suggesting that if the town would be willing to modify the original contract for $55,075 to $3,500, they would be able to do all of the monitoring during the paving portion of the project. To date, I believe the town has received 3 monitoring reports where the engineer has been to the site 3 times and documents what's happening, the progress that has been made, and then this would continue through to the end of the project.
So the specification revisions, it reflects the removal of paving work from Goral Palmer's scope. And down in the scope of work, this includes visits to observe paving work. So it's less responsibility under paving than it would have been initially. That's
Well, I think what happens is, during the paving process, you want to make sure that the depth of the different layers that, sometimes it's 1 inch of this and 2.5 of that, and your engineer goes and makes sure that's happening so that.
Oh, yeah, so they say, some inspection is required. But
Yeah, and
so
this
less than they
isn't
would.
daily, this is
They go by
not
temperature and
daily.
everything.
Yeah, and they just sort of, keep an eye on the investment because we signed a contract for over $600,000 for this road. It might have even been close to $650,000. And if you want to have the professional engineers kind of overseeing, monitoring, being kind of the, the the town's representative, or there's a term that's used in the contracting business.
Oh, clerk of the works.
Yeah, kind
Yeah.
of like a clerk of the
Equivalent.
works, yeah, owner's representative, I guess is what I'm trying to think of. They sort of serve that purpose. And I do know the road commissioner goes on a daily basis and checks on what's happening, but does not typically write up a report and document what has been happening.
I move we approve this contract modification and authorize Christie to sign it.
I second it.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Recommended sole source with Colette Monuments for gravestone cleaning.
So we have had a project at the Old Town Meeting House, and it's been a few years. We had a budget that we had to work with. We had to find contractors willing to do the work within the budget that we had. We've had the whole exterior of the building painted. We had special preservative put on the roof shingles, and now we're at the final phase, which is cleaning the stones in the old cemetery. So we have engaged Colette Monument of Lewiston to work on the stones the last couple of years. When they break, when they need some kind of fix, but we haven't actually, entered a contract for this phase because we are talking $20,000. We've used this company. They do really good work. It's a very historic cemetery with very old stones, and I think we don't necessarily want to put something out to bid and maybe go with the lowest bidder because, it's a very kind of, I guess, specific type of work,
Yes.
and you have to be careful. And so I'm very comfortable that they can perform the cleaning, which originally we looked at using a power washer, but we were concerned that that's
Right.
too much
yeah.
pressure on these old stones.
Right.
And so that's why we went to the hand cleaning, which is more expensive than we
It's
initially.
still around $40 a stone, which really, in the scheme of things, for the amount of work that's gonna
Right.
take,
No.
is not much at all.
It's a bargain, because I just had, on Bailey Island, I paid $70 a stone, going back 5 great-grandparents.
What's the budget for this?
Fortunately, I ran out.
We
much do
have
we have?
a little over 20,000 left, yeah.
And that's,
It's a good deal.
it's in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
agree.
Yep, all right, I move we go with Colette Monuments to do this job.
I will second it.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Treasurer's report?
Good evening, Terry Goddard, Town's Treasurer, here to report on the town's finances as of August 31st, 2025. Excuse me. We had $4.7 million in cash balances. A lot of that is, taken up with our reserves. But luckily, with our TAN that we process, we did have $4.2 million drawn down. Tax payments are starting to come in, so I will be making a payment on the TAN tomorrow. Again, monitoring that interest and keeping that low. Tax payments, we have very anxious taxpayers to pay, so tax payments are certainly rolling in. Later, the bills went out, the commitment happened later this year, and the bills went out later, but still within the month of August, and actually the prior, because prepayments can be accepted all year long. So at the end of August, we had a total collection of $1.3 million. In August, 508,000 of that was on AndroGov. So that's our online service where people can go in and make a payment, and then the tax office can pull it in. It's really amazing technology. You can pull in $1 million in a matter of a couple of minutes. So that's, which they need that relief considering how many people still love to pay in person or by mail. So things are moving along nicely there, which will allow me to make a TAN payment tomorrow. The 2024 taxes outstanding, just over 35,000, and other years' taxes outstanding, just under 14,000. The other
These the
years,
frequent flyers, by the way.
they're frequent flyers with two not so new, but not so regular.
Okay, all right.
But
As we get closer, I'll talk to you about it.
So what Selectman Chipman's talking about is the outstanding liens that would mature in December if they remain unpaid. I don't project that happening, hopefully. And on the revenue and expense item side, non-property tax revenue available to reduce taxes is it's $2,192,000, just over 70% of the forecast, and 8 months, of course, is 0.67. So we're where we want to be. I will say typically in August, we receive our franchise fee payment, and they did mail it. It took from August 15th to September 2nd to arrive, so it's not in my August report. But it's an interesting note. As you know, we dropped our forecast on the franchise fee because people are leaving Comcast, and so we dropped it from 105,000 or 110,000 last year down to 90, and we're not going to make the 90. That first payment that came in was $42,690, and if you assume the second payment would hopefully at least be that, we'll be receiving just over 85,000. But each of the last several payments, we're seeing it go down and go down. But luckily, that's not our main source of revenue. Certainly was a helpful one. One of our single largest source of revenue outside of property taxes is the excise, and that's at 76.64%. So that's doing a little better than 8 months, which is good. Some of our other significant revenues have exceeded its forecast, like moorings and permits, and several are ahead of 8 months of forecast, such as revenue sharing, not much, but we'll take what we can get, and recycling center and transfer station. The town did receive 75% of its homestead. The state, your assessor agent this board approves the estimated homestead form in June. It has to be sent to the state in June, and we use the prior year's taxes. And then the state sends us 75% of that estimate in August, and the balance of the 25% next year, although it will be recorded as a receivable. So that was good to receive that. They made an error and did it in 2 payments, but we did get our 75%. Spending through August is generally following historical experiences. Of course, there's some that look like it's underspent due to timing of invoices or dates of service, and a few that seem it's overexpended again for the same reason. And our reserve expenditures, you heard about your Capital Road project this evening. The Mitchell Field boat launch costs continue. The recycling center phase 2, which now that there'll be a working group, we shouldn't be having an engineering billing for that. ARPA expenditures related to purchase of emergency communications equipment, our prior triangle, and now we're adding that 4th tower of communication to improve in the Cundies Harbor area. That's basically the highlights. The select board received all 3 reports, the full detail ones, and if there's any questions, you know where to find me. Thank you.
Thanks, Terry.
Thank you.
Accept donations. It's all you, David.
Oh, boy.
You didn't want it, did you, Matt?
No, he can run with it.
It's a long one. It's a long one.
I know.
Exactly.
So we have Anonymous, which is $90 for heating. We have Kent Simmons, which is $250 for heating. We have another Anonymous for $50 for the family swim program. Wayne and Nancy Hurst, $200 for the bandstand. Thomas Carlisle, $50 for the bandstand. Harold Weeks III, $250 for the bandstand. Cynthia Powers, $127.35 for heating. Mary Deislinger is $100 for bandstand. Courtney Snellings, $50 for the bandstand. Brunswick Area Respite, $250 for the bandstand. Wayne and Nancy Hurst, $100 for the bandstand. The bandstand cash box, which they call Johnny Cash, was $845 for the bandstand. Rhonda Clark, $1,000 for the bandstand as a sponsor. Welltree is $250 bandstand as a sponsor. Where am I? Arthur and Eliza Dyer is $25 for the bandstand. William McClin, $100, or Macklin, is $100 for the bandstand. Dan Huber, $250 for the bandstand. Dan helped build the bandstand, as a matter of fact. Jay McCrate, $200 for heating. And Standridge, $100 for the bandstand. Bangor Savings is $500 for the bandstand as a sponsor. Harpswell Anchor, $1,000 for the bandstand as a sponsor. M.W. Sewell, $1,000 for the bandstand as a sponsor. Jennifer McPherson, $400 for the bandstand. Kate Williford, $250 for the bandstand. Levenger Foundation Incorporated, $1,000 for the bandstand. Ocean Waves Quilters, $1,650 for heating. And the bandstand donation box is $6,320.10 for a total of $16,407.45, and I move that we accept it.
I will second it.
Good job, David. All in favor? Saw that list, and I said, I'm not doing it. Public comment? Nope. Other business?
Just one item. We received a committee resignation from Harvey Poe on the Fire and Rescue Committee, so we would ask the board to accept that.
I accept that with regret. Harvey has been a great contribution. That's my motion.
Second it.
Yep. Harvey's not going anywhere.
Right, he's still on the rescue.
Yep. He still, shows up at the committee meeting, so. All in favor?
Thank you.
Thanks, Harvey.
Just out of curiosity.
Should I adjourn first?
No, this will be all right.
Oh,
What-
okay,
What
good.
happens if, like, we don't approve somebody's resignation?
I've
Oh,
tried before.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Yeah,
Actually, Rhonda
yeah.
last year, and I signed it.
Because
so-
that seems like something, like we, for the most part, 999 times out of 1,000, we'd approve it, but
Yeah.
had
I
that
think
case has happened, though?
if you didn't want to accept it, maybe they'd reconsider.
Yeah, force them to reconsider, basically. All right, that was all I had, sorry. You can adjourn now.
All right, at this point, we're adjourned.
Thank you.
And Mary Ann's going to turn the volume down, right?